Story as the fight between the CBI's top two officers boiled over, Prime Minister Modi has now stepped in to diffuse that tension. He has summoned and met the two officers, CBI Chief Alok Verma and Special Director Rakesh Asthana. Sunetra Chaudhary continues to be with us, tracking that story. Sunetra, any more details of the meeting? When did this meeting take place?
Well, we know there are very sketchy details because of the fact and the sensitivity of this entire matter. What we do know for sure is that the Prime Minister has been in touch. We also know that at least one of the meetings took place after 2 o'clock this afternoon at South Block. So that is confirmed as well. And both the principals, and we are also told that the Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister have spoken to all of those people involved, which go beyond these two officers as well. As you know, now many other agencies are also involved in this particular thing. You also have certain raw officials being involved and named in that FIR, so they have been spoken to as well. And so now we have to wait and see what the Prime Minister decides, because many feel this has completely gone out of hand. The functioning of India's top investigating agency has become very difficult. What is tricky and what the Prime Minister has to decide now, do both of these officers go, or does the Prime Minister just remove one of them? Now, what's of course to be kept in mind is because of the Vineet Narayan judgment in the tenure of the CBI Director, the Alok Verma, who's the CBI Chief, he has a fixed tenure which only ends in at the end of January. So he has a few months to go. What may be easier is to remove the number 2, which is Rakesh Asthana. There's also a precedent in this. When, ironically, when Rakesh Asthana himself was promoted and made acting director, at that time, the person who was above him, who was the number 2 at that time, R.K. Datta, he was also removed overnight by creating a special position which the government at that time said was a promotion for him. They created a special position in the MHA. So what will the government actually do is something we have to wait and see. Perhaps what is of course to be kept in mind is that Rakesh Asthana is seen as someone who's very close to the administration. He's worked with the Prime Minister closely when Narendra Modi was the Chief Minister, and he was of course the police chief in Vadodara and in Surat. He also used to be in charge of the SIT that went into the Gujarat train burning incident. So he has worked a lot with the current dispensation. So it's very tricky, and we have to wait and see how this particular thing plays out. But for now, what is confirmed is that it's not just the CVC who both of them had approached, but the topmost authority in this particular case, which is the Prime Minister, who's now taking a call.
All right, Adil Singh Boparai, the spokesperson of the Congress party, now joins me. Mr. Boparai, Rahul Gandhi earlier in the day had tweeted that an institution in terminal decline that's at war with itself. Now, would you appreciate that Prime Minister has stepped in to diffuse that tension, the situation in the CBI?
Where's the question of appreciation? This is a government where skeletons are tumbling out of it every day. You have the premier investigating agency of this country, the number 2 in the premier investigating agency of this country, being accused of corruption by the very same agency. This is an unprecedented situation. And like Sunetra had pointed out, this officer is the blue-eyed officer of the Prime Minister. He has directly worked under the Prime Minister. Special accommodations were made when he was appointed as Special Director of the CBI. And this is directly at the Prime Minister's behest. So I think Mr. Modi has a lot to explain. The DOPT comes under Mr. Modi. He's the minister in charge. And Mr. Modi hasn't spoken up. He has to speak up. Today, the CBI is being misused by Mr. Modi and Amit Shah. It is misused to threaten and intimidate political opponents. It is used to intimidate and threaten journalists, media organization, industrialists. Where is this country going? It's also about institutional independence. An agency like the CBI, which is required to investigate scams, which is investigating scams worth thousands of crores, issues involving Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, all associates of Mr. Modi. And here you have a situation where the second senior most officer is facing and is mired in a corruption scandal. I think this government has a lot to explain.